So welcome to the first podcast on the current transits from Dwarf Planet University. I'm Alan Clay. We run online courses and publish books on the astrology of the dwarf planets, including my new one, New Stars for a New Era, a Consciousness Workbook for our 10 new planets. Now, the dwarf planets are the new outer planets in our solar system, out beyond Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And where the inner planets represent aspects of personality, the outer planets represent aspects of consciousness. Uranus is intuitive consciousness, Neptune spiritual consciousness, Pluto psychological consciousness, and we go out from there. Now today, Mars, the inner planet of action, is starting to square Gonggong, the outer planet of empathic consciousness, with the exact square at the end of the weekend. So over the next week, we will have to align our actions with our empathic consciousness. Now, empathic consciousness gives us the ability to understand and share the feelings and the emotions of others, enabling us to connect with them on a more profound level and promoting compassion and understanding in our interactions. The heightened emotional intelligence of empathic consciousness is an essential component of building positive and meaningful relationships. Now, emotions are our instinctive response to the events in our lives. They motivate us to respond immediately, short-circuiting our process of conscious assessment so we can survive in those dangerous moments when we must make split-second decisions. Unfortunately, this makes our emotions a largely unconscious process, and because of this, we often feel that we are at the mercy of our emotions. We feel that our emotions take us over and that we are no longer in conscious control. And we also like to wallow in emotions because they're strong and they're powerful and they're more real to us than much of the rest of our experience. If we're not conscious of them, however, our emotions will run our lives, motivated by all the stuff that we have repressed and not dealt with. But we can become conscious of our emotional process and direct our emotions just as we do our thoughts. This enables us to lift our energy out of an indulgent space and into a cooperative interchange with others. Gonggong flowers and becomes an empathic wizard when we take full advantage of the social opportunities, lifting our own and others' energies through social interplay. Gonggong encourages us to participate in the marketplace of life, to joyfully work with the give and take of energy within our community, which is essential for our survival. When we do, this new planet brings good luck, prosperity, and abundance. Through our sensitivity to the energy flows, we're able to position ourselves or our product to maximize our potential. And by participating in this social interplay, we can become wealthy and successful. So we can maximize our potential this week by being open to the social interplay in our lives and finding the place for our product or service. Starting this YouTube channel exemplifies the transit. I have Mars conjunct Gonggong natally, and many of you know that I've worked as a clown and a clown teacher for much of my life. Clown is an emotional art form, and it works to lift the vibe of the audience. This is all Gonggong work. I've repurposed some of my clown exercises as consciousness exercises in my new book, and I'm including a fun street exercise for Gonggong at the end of this podcast. Because the outer planets talk of consciousness, how they manifest in our lives depends on our current level of consciousness. At the top level, Gonggong's about channeling the spiritual, emotional, and psychic energies in our lives. As we do, we can have watershed moments that generate floods of insight. These can put us in touch with the spirit world or with cosmic wisdom, which nourishes our lives. However, When we're at inner planet level of consciousness, so we're unconscious of these new outer planet energies, and we're all at all levels, guys, we might indulge in the power of our personal emotions rather than lift ourselves out of them to empathize with others. What's happening for us is so important, and we are so lost in our experience that nothing else matters. As a result, we can be cruel and heartless to those around us. At this level, we're likely to be ambitious in our interactions, and we might behave in a selfish or a zealous way and indulge in fits of rage. The release of rage feels so good and so justified that we can easily indulge in the emotion, reinforcing a feedback loop that grows until it is overwhelming, which just leaves us feeling drained and ashamed of our outburst. So if you find rage coming up in response to actions that you or others take this week, then try this Gonggong exercise from my book, New Stars for a New Era. Exercise 3, breaking out in rage. Next time this happens, try de-escalating straight away. This is hard because it feels so justified, and yet there is no good outcome from rage. Suck it up, and then lift your energy out of your own emotions and open to empathy with the others involved. Learn to get over yourself. Now, at the unconscious level, we may also feel overwhelmed with the emotions in our lives and unable to see a clear path forward out of the morass of our personal feelings. If this is what Gonggong square Mars brings into your life this week, the key is not to indulge in this overwhelm, but rather to allow yourself to float to the surface and then rise above it. We need to channel the energies in our lives in order to avoid overwhelm. Damming doesn't work. Everything just builds up behind a dam. So we need to practice channeling emotions or energy when we're feeling overwhelmed. This is not a withdrawal and refresh process, but a participation and refresh process, where we find an application for the emotion or the energy at each time. Participation and refresh. We tend to feel at these times that by lifting ourselves above the overwhelm, we're not dealing with the important lessons. However, the reverse is true. The divine work is to let go of the base emotions so we can be sensitive to the emotional community in which we're nestled and open to the empathic support of others. As we develop a more spiritual approach, we begin to understand that we actually live in a symbiotic relationship with the others in our lives, and that we can pool our energy to achieve collective aims if we want to. We learn to calibrate our emotional pressure to meet the needs of each moment, and we develop the ability to channel our emotions and mold our psychic space to improve our productivity. At this level, the spiritual level, our empathic consciousness gives us access to a great wisdom, which can enable our enlightenment. We understand that the more we respect and harmonize with the energy flows in our lives, the better the future looks. We develop the ability to catalyze transformation and change in our lives and the lives of those around us. So, with the current square, we can tune into others on an empathic level, and we can act in ways which will more likely be well received or gain their support. It's kind of simple. But when we're self-involved and insensitive to those around us, our actions will inevitably lead to challenges with others. Now, as promised, I've got a fun interactive consciousness exercise for Gonggong in a moment. But first, if you have a square between Mars and Gonggong in your personal chart, any contact between these planets is powerful. But the square is particularly strong because they're both fighters at the unconscious level. And the square is a challenge initially and becomes a strength over time as we rise to the occasion. Yeah. So if you're finding the square manifesting as battles in your life, the key to avoiding this is not to buy into them, but instead lift your frequency out of the battlefield completely. This, of course, is easier said than done. But over time, you'll find that you learn to channel the energies in your life without them conflicting. Now, as we become conscious of the action of these outer planets, we are able to connect with that side of ourselves and enable a more conscious use of the ability. If you'd like help with a friendly group of astrologers to enable this, consider coming to a course at the Dwarf Planet University. There's one on Gonggong coming up, starting at the beginning of November. The students at the uni range from beginners to experienced astrologers, and this is the source of the vibrant class culture. Students love, what they love about the courses is the community sharing through blog posted assignments and live Zoom Q&As. And this gives a good picture of how these new planets act similarly and yet diversely in our lives. Check out the university website and the links below, and while you're there, subscribe to the email newsletter to get Dwarf Planet news and special deals on the classes. And you can support me and get a wonderful resource by buying my new book, New Stars for a New Era, a Consciousness Workbook for our 10 new planets. I've written it without any jargon in a way someone with no astrological experience can read and appreciate. Each chapter starts with a meditative image created by US astrologer Karen LaPuma, whose work I recommend. This is the image for Gonggong. The book introduces each planet and includes consciousness exercises to develop the energy and house interpretations with well-known examples from each to show how they manifest in our personal lives. That's what the houses do. And here, as promised, is another consciousness exercise from the Gonggong chapter. Exercise 5, empathy through mimicry. So many of you have probably seen street clowns imitating passers-by and turning it into comedy by exaggerating the movements to get attention. We're not going to do it that way. Okay? And if you feel shy to experiment in public, you'll be surprised. No one notices the person you're imitating, so no one will notice you. And if they do, you can just break off and walk on normally. The clown actually does a lot of work to get that attention. It's not the imitation that's doing it. Now, this is how we work it. So choose a busy street area and watch how people are holding their bodies as they walk. They are all unique. Then hop in a couple of meters behind someone whose movements you like and imitate their walk. So you want to get the same feet placements on the ground, the same energy. How's it working with the feet? The legs. How are the shoulders being held? The head. Same placement, same movement with your head. The arms, key. How are the arms moving or are they not moving? Any particular tensions? Yeah. Try and get the same feeling in your body as you sense in theirs. And you will feel emotions coming up in you. How the world feels to this person is different to how it feels to you. This is Gonggong sensing. So, thank you for listening. This has been Mars Square Gonggong. Please subscribe to the channel to get the new videos as I post them. Let me know in the comments how you relate to this new empathic consciousness, or just share your experience. I value that. And please ask any questions that have come up for you, which I might be able to answer. Much love and laughter to you all.